I think for me, it was a very organic process. I started off by 8th standard, 9th standard. I knew that I wanted to be a film director. Before that, I was just very much into like literature. I was very much into writing, creative writing specifically. We had theater in school, and I got into theater, and from there it was like, okay, like filmmaking is something, being a director is something that I have a passion towards, and it came out of theater. So that's where that happened. Also, I would say my father had a lot to do with it. I think somewhere inside he wanted to be a film director, and so growing up, he made sure that my brother and I both watched everything under the sun.
Your first film is supremely successful.
Thank you.
Everyone's loved it. What I want to understand is there a genre you can put this in, or because I feel like it doesn't have a genre. It's a.
I would say it's slice of life. It's coming of age. It's a friendship story. I think friendship stories are specific to India as well, like to XL Tiger Baby. So I kind of feel like it fits into that category, and it's perhaps a modern retelling of the way we live our lives.
So when films are usually made about friendships, it's always 2 women or 2 boys, or it's like 3 boys, like a gang of girls. When you made Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, it's 2 boys, 1 girl. What was your thought process behind it?
Honestly, quite simply, it's just a reflection of the things that I see. These characters are inspired by people that I know, right? So it's like one of my best friends is a girl, and that's totally fine. And I feel like in movies, we just constantly hear like a boy and a girl can never be friends, right?
That's the 90s generation, right? You grew up watching that.
Yeah, so that's like the trope, and it's just not true. And you just have to go to any cafe, any bar, and you will see a group of friends, and it is mixed. And that's how it should be. And I think that's what we try to reflect in the film.
How Siddharth's character is a rich boy, and his friend is not that, and this is how real friendships and dynamics are, right? You don't always mingle around in the same social class, and
Absolutely.
I think that reflection is why the film was very relatable to the audience.
I think that's the beauty about Bombay, and I feel like you go to a school and it's kids from mixed socio-economic backgrounds, and colleges, and I think that's the beauty of it, and I think it's so important to have that dynamic.
What kind of research do you then do to understand people from different classes?
I think it's just talking. And it's talking to people, whether it's your friends, whether it's people on sets. For Neil's character specifically, I wanted to understand the dynamics of Catholic family as well. We went to like houses, we got in touch with friends who knew other friends, and we spent time at these houses and just understood as much as possible and tried to incorporate that into the films. Whether it's influencers, whether it's my friends, I interviewed stand-up comedians, so we just spoke to a lot of people, and I feel like we brought that and we brought those flavors and those textures into the screenwriting process.
How much inspiration did Zoya and Reema have in the making of this film and then also the success of the film?
They have everything to do with it. I worked with Zoya. I was her DA on Gully Boy and Ghost Stories. So I owe a lot of what I know as a filmmaker and as a director to Zoya, whether it's her keen eye for detail, whether it's her ability to empathize, even the interviewing process. A lot of that comes from understanding and working with Zoya and seeing what she does and trying to incorporate that into my own work and then adding my own, the other things that I've learned into my work. I owe a lot to Zoe and Reema.
Were you nervous as a first-time director?
You don't really have time to be nervous. You've spent so much time with the script and you've spent time working with the actors and your production and your crew. So you end up spending about 3 months in pre-production. So when shoot is around the corner, it's like, yeah, you're nervous, but it's like an excited nervousness.
How were you as a director versus a DA?
I was a very mischievous assistant. I was just very cheeky. I'd cause a lot of trouble. But as a director, I think I was far more diligent. I was very organized. I knew exactly. I was very well prepared. But at the same time, I was chill. But I think you'd have to ask the actors and the crew for some of that info.
How did you kind of come to decide that this is the film subject and I'm going to make a movie out of this?
I wanted to make a film that would be a reflection of my generation. I started writing it when I was 28, and I was kind of looking back to what 25 felt like. Social media is just a backdrop, but actually the film is about learning to be authentic to yourself, and that idea resonates across generations, across time. Our generation is clued into social media and our phones, but that's just a crutch. That's just a tool, that's the backdrop. The film is about the people and their relationships with one another. and how social media influences that.
What is your relationship with your phone like?
It constantly changes. It depends on what I'm doing at any given moment of time. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to spend more than 2.5 hours on my phone.
Film about
Yeah.
social media, you're consuming it through social media.
Yeah.
According to you, how is it that one can break from this cycle and then truly embrace who they are?
So look, the fact of the matter is that our phones aren't going anywhere. Social media is not going anywhere. It's not a bad thing. The problem is, and this is what the movie kind of discusses, or the intention of the movie, is to figure out, like, to what extent, what are the lines that we have, and how should we use these things responsibly. So I think it's just about, like, figuring out what do we want from our apps and not letting our apps decide who we are.
What are you doing next?
I have 2 things greenlit. I mean, it's still at a very early stage, so I will talk about it, but once I have something a bit more concrete.
Do you know what subject you're going to be talking? You told me on purpose, but
Yeah.
is that what your next film is going to be about?
I would say the underlying theme is about finding purpose and learning that it comes from within, and you have to find that purpose. I'm still figuring it out, but I think that's definitely something I'm leaning towards, and I really want to explore the sci-fi thriller zone. So let's see, maybe that can happen.
What do you think the future of Hindi cinema is? Because you're just off your first film.
Yeah.
You have like a long career ahead of you.
Yeah.
Where do you think it's going?
I don't know where Bollywood is going. I don't know where the Hindi film industry is going. I just think that as long as we make movies that are real, that are authentic, that emotionally move people, I think that is the most important thing. And I feel like for me personally, I want to make movies that emotionally move people. And that can be in any way. So, but I think as long as we're doing that, that is the most important thing.